Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Investing Bros. We got a lot to talk about today. Got a lot of headlines. First of all, according to that title you guys are seeing, Binance was trying to acquire Voyager, but it looks like Gary Gensler and the SEC, they're saying not so fast. Might be a little harder to acquire them than we thought. Also, SBF, we've been asking what's going to happen to those Robinhood holdings that he was holding well over $400 million worth. Well, the DOJ swooped in and said those are ours. So who's going to actually get rewarded with those? The last thing that I'm going to say is XRP is in the news for several reasons, one of which is there's maybe a good reason coming out as to why they were the main target of the SEC versus other altcoins. We got that and a whole lot more to talk about in this episode. Going to be a little bit different of a show because normally we do the first half's a lot of technical analysis, then we move into stories, but there's so many headlines to talk about. We're going to go a little light today on technical analysis. We'll touch on it, but we're going to jump into those stories a little bit early because there's so many juicy ones to cover. Make sure you watch the entire episode from start to finish because it is going to be a good one. Go ahead and smash that like button, everybody, and if you are new here, thank you for joining us. We go live every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and go ahead and smash that like button if you are loving crypto content. I am joined by my co-host, the great T of Shroom. T Shroom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really good, Tim. You know, I almost feel like a cat who's found a nice, warm, sunny spot to cuddle up in. Wow. That's how I'm feeling this morning. Gonna be honest with you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. I got a question of the day. We used to do this.
Yeah.
On the old show that we were on.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring this back. Start bringing some questions today, but I'm gonna start asking you. I have my response too, but I thought this was a good one. I was looking for some good questions of the day. This was a would you rather, and I want to hear what chat has to think about this as well.
Hit me with it.
T-shirt, would you rather have the ability to turn invisible at will, but have to constantly listen to Nickelback anytime you're invisible?
Yeah.
Or be able to fly, but to be able to fly, you have to sing I Will Survive at the top of your lungs to take off.
Yeah.
Which would you rather?
At first I was afraid.
Yeah.
I was petrified. I love that song. And there's that episode from The Office that has that song incorporated when Michael was doing the CPR.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because he thought that was staying alive. At first I was afraid. Which we would die if that's how you were being resuscitated. So.
Yeah, no.
That's the one I would pick, Tim.
I think it's interesting. First of all, I think Nickelback, I'd love to hear what the audience thinks. I think Nickelback gets a lot more hate than they really deserve. It's kind of like, it's almost like the in thing to hate Nickelback.
Yeah.
Don't say you're in that group. Okay, I'm not saying all of their music is fantastic, but I feel like they get an unproportionate amount of hate that they do not deserve. But I think flying would be cooler than being invisible, and I Will Survive better than I like Nickelback songs. I'm not saying I like Nickelback. Like I said, I'm kind of neutral on them. I just feel like they're not as good as they're not good enough to be considered one of the greatest bands of all time by any stretch of the imagination. They're not the worst either. They got some songs, and okay, don't look at me or don't look at the camera like that. Don't try to like turn.
I think this is one of those pineapple pizza situations where you've kind of crossed a line.
I've crossed the line. Are you saying that like my opinion is the pineapple pizza of pizzas? Saying that Nickelback is not as bad as some people give them credit for?
I am saying exactly that.
What the heck?
But the good news is I see your would you rather, and I will raise you to a quote of the day from Warren Buffett. And I particularly picked this one because of how bad the Photoshop job was on this transparent PNG here. It said, price is what you pay, value is what you get. Warren Buffett, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway and the Omaha of Oracle.
Yeah.
All right, Tim.
That's good stuff.
What's next?
Yeah, I think we're about to jump in here and talk with chat. We'll dive into some crypto TA for a little bit, and then we're jumping to headlines. If you're just joining us, we're having a little bit of debate here. Is Nickelback? We're not asking if they're the greatest band of all time. Is Nickelback as bad as what people say they are? Like, do they deserve all of the hate that they get? Also, I would say I would love for your Twitter page, T-Shroom, to start incorporating that question of the day on Twitter. The question of the day, the statement of the day, the quote of the day. I think that should become a new staple of T-Shroom. His Twitter page, he gives you a good new quote.
Let us know in the comment if you agree.
I will say, we're about to check in with chat. Trevor says he went to a Nickelback concert and they're not that bad. He said they were actually pretty good. So Trevor's on my side.
Trevor, we need to talk.
Let's see. This one we might have to look at this for a second. GS says my son likes Nickelback, but it's not my cup of tea. Again, great. It doesn't have to be your cup of tea. That is not the argument. The debate is not, is Nickelback a great band or they suck? The debate is, do they deserve all of the hate that pop culture gives them? And I think the answer is no.
Okay. Well,
Jabai17 said, tell me you've never jammed out to Nickelback. I think everyone has at least tuned one of their songs, been like, it's a good song.
Look, early 2000s, we were running around naive. We didn't know what we had, okay? We didn't understand the deceit that was being pushed through the media for us to like Nickelback. And so we were just, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know the harm we were causing to the future of music at the time. But that all changed.
Old Steve Shrum made a joke.
What did he say?
He said, 5 cents back is better than what the kids listen to today.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's 5 cents back?
A nickel.
Oh.
I'm loving it. Let's check in. Let's see who is here in chat this morning. It's Mr. B, but it's the Bitcoin symbol. So I'm going to call him Mr. Bitcoin Lightning Bolt. Was the first in chat saying GM. Good morning. Or maybe he's talking about the vehicle, the brand of vehicle.
Could
I don't know. You don't want to assume what people are trying to imply. That's how rumors get started.
That's true.
And the world can really suffer from it. Let's see who else is here. Speaking of Misters, Mr. J is also in chat. LAG Lag, I don't know which one he wants to go by, is there. He's talking about Algo. He says underrated layer one. I would agree. Although I'm underrated. I still think it's underrated. I think Algo is no longer a well-kept secret. I think people are starting to warm up to the idea of Algo and what it can do. Algorand, for anyone who's wondering. Crypto Minibikes in the house. Gia S is here.
Crypto Sec Guy in the chat.
Sec Guy. Tyler Main. Crypto Sec Guy has been plowing a lot. Don't jump out of your snowmobile, Jeffrey, because it turns out 2 people. Did you know this? So 2 people since January 1st have been in. It's not snowplow, but it's the, what is it? Those machines. They've in 2 accidents. Jenner, the guy who plays Hawkeye in Marvel, he got his leg and part of his body run over. He looks like he's okay. I've seen pictures of him, but there's a chance he might lose his leg. We'll see. But another person, I don't know if that one was famous or not, jumped out of their snowmobile or so whatever. Not snowmobile, but I can't remember what it's called. Snowplow, whatever it is. And they died. So the year is young and 2 people have already died. So Jeffrey, stay on top of it.
Stay safe out there, guys.
Don't fall too much. Alejandro Lepe is in chat. Steve Shrum, as we mentioned, is here. Crypto JMP. Al Bundles is here. Trevor is here. Servando Estrada. Grand Roofing Incorporated. Yer Navarro. Jabui17. Who else is here? Technically Larry. Technically Larry is here. In a way, technically he is.
He's not here, but technically he is.
Technically Larry is here. Tyler Wise is here. Who else? Altcoin Heist is here. He's been watching you guys for over a year from Coffee and Crypto and interacting with you both on Twitter. 2 great guys. Thank you so much, Altcoin Heist. Crimson Caravan Company. Love seeing him in chat. He's been here more recently. Let's see. Kush is my cologne 810. Wow.
I like that name.
And he does not like
Quick
Nickelback.
Story. I had a soccer teacher. I had a soccer coach.
See, pause.
Off to a bad start with the story.
Soccer teacher?
A teacher of soccer, the arts. But so I had a soccer coach in JV high school, and we walked over to his car to get all the balls out one day, and it just reeked of cannabis. And we were like, what is going on? And because by that time we knew what cannabis smelled like. And
why are you saying cannabis?
Because that's.
I mean, I know that's the right term, but that's
marijuana.
Yeah, Mary Jane.
The 420 friend. But anyway. Weed. But anyway, so the soccer coach was like, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's my cologne. It's called Reefer by P Diddy." And as a 16-year-old, however old I was, I just completely bought that. I was like, "Oh yeah, that must be it. He can't smoke weed because he's our soccer coach."
Soccer teacher, to be fair.
And we just ran and did our soccer. And then one of the kids was like, "I can't believe our coach smokes weed." And I was like, "Oh no, it's just his cologne." Yeah. And then they were like, "You're an idiot." And I was like, "Yeah, fair enough."
To be fair, I did call him soccer teacher. So.
Yeah.
Just good stuff. Everybody else who's just joining, we haven't read your name. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. We like to have fun.
True story, by the way.
Like to have fun. This is a crypto channel. We do it. Like, believe it or not, we talk about investing. We talk about crypto. We talk about the stock market.
We talk about something.
But we also like to have a fun time. If you love that, stick around. Subscribe. It's going to be consistent. If you hate that, I apologize.
Yeah.
There are other channels that jump straight into the news, and they're a little boring.
Yeah. If you're looking for makeup tutorial videos, you're not going to find it here because Tim and I, we do our makeup before the show.
It's true. It's called a beard.
Yeah. We grow our makeup.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump on. Again, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the charts today. In reality, I think what we're going to do is spend about 10 minutes, and then we're going to jump into the stories because we got a lot of them. But let's go over here with Bitcoin. Someone asked earlier in chat, I don't remember who asked, but they said, Tim, do you see that falling wedge pattern on the weekly chart? Well, you can look at the daily chart. I'm assuming this is what he's talking about. We have been in a falling wedge pattern ever since back here in June, actually. You guys look at these resistance touches. Let's see. When I say June, I mean, June 19th. We got our resistance touches right here. I think we're going to be making our way over at some point towards this red line again, somewhere around that 17.6. Maybe we can jump up to 17.8, come somewhere in this mid zone. But this is one of the reasons this falling wedge pattern is one of the reasons why I'm still suspecting one more lower low, potentially down into the 14,000s. We come down here, hit the support, and then we break out. What that would look like almost, if what I'm saying was accurate, don't use this as like exact levels, but maybe we make our way over here, hit our heads on this red line, come back down, make our way slowly to the support level, and then we break out and we finally go to the upside. That's what I'm kind of seeing happening right now when I'm looking at the charts, at the formations. This is a longer time frame move though, so it's going to take a little bit of time before that plays out. If anything, like if you're looking at the dates, this would mean more than likely March, and that's why I've kind of talked about. I think we're seeing new lows late Q1, maybe early Q2. But I think Q2 is where we actually start to make some progress here on Bitcoin. Let's look at, we're on the daily chart here. So it ended up, the RSI ended up closing yesterday right at the 50. So that's going to be really interesting. The Luxago oscillator has us overextended the downside, although we do not have that green cloud saying we're oversold. So while there is room to the upside still, sitting that rejection on the 50 on the RSI is something to keep an eye on. Also, let's watch what happens for the rest of the day because currently today is red, but if it ends up finishing red, it'll be the first red day of 2023 for Bitcoin. So that would be very interesting. Let's look at a smaller time frame. You guys can see I have drawn here. We're a little bit in a channel, and when we broke through, I was thinking, okay, is there a chance we end up breaking through and turning this into support? The answer was no. We closed back down below it. This is not that surprising to me. I'm going to show you guys here in a second with Ethereum. I was under the assumption we needed to dip one more time, but here's the good news. I think there's a good chance we do end up breaking through this level of resistance and heading back up towards 17,600, despite the hawkish narrative that the Fed gave us yesterday. Yes, we're a little oversold or overbought at the moment here on the 4-hourly chart, but that's why we're dipping right now. Watch as we have not yet set bearish RSI divergence. Watch potentially as the price comes back up. Maybe we get back above that RSI 70. And you guys know, if you guys have been doing technical analysis for a while, you're considered overbought if you're above 70. You're considered oversold if you're below 30. We have not gotten there just yet. And I'm kind of interested to watch. Can we potentially break through there, but then later down the road, we end up setting our bearish RSI divergence where we come up here, come back down, and then we set lower peaks, and in that same timeline with our price action, we're setting higher highs, and then we set up this bearish RSI divergence before we end up correcting to the downside. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on right now with Bitcoin. I'm not saying I'm necessarily entering into a new long position right now, but I also am not convinced that this short, very small term rally is over. I actually think we could go to the upside. Bearish case, though, we do head back down here towards 16,300, hitting our support level once again in this little trading channel. This is going to be a really interesting one to watch. So keep your eyes fixed on that when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, let's go over to Ethereum, where I talked about this the other day. We just broke out of an ascending triangle, and I told you guys, do not just FOMO in because we've broken through. We ended up rejecting right there at the top level of this resistance around 1270, but I still think there's a good chance for making it up towards 1300. But I told you guys first, don't be surprised if we come back down and this zone, this level right here that used to be resistance in the ascending triangle, if we come back down here and end up using it as support before jumping back up to the upside. So not going to be surprised to see both Bitcoin and Ethereum take a little bit of a tumble over the next day or two, setting up another level to go to the upside. Same thing with Ethereum. We're here on the 4-hourly chart. We do not have our bearish RSI divergence calling for a reversal. Do we have to have bearish RSI divergence? No, we don't. We do have the Luxembourg oscillators telling us we are overbought at the moment. But again, I think this is more of a correction time. We go up one more time, maybe one or two more times, and then we set up our bearish RSI divergence and have our good correction. I do not think Ethereum is setting new lows this year. I don't think Ethereum is going to be retesting 800. I could be wrong. I have been wrong in the past. More realistically, when I'm talking about new lows for Bitcoin and potentially even new lows for things like Cardano, we'll have to see. Cardano's always a crazy one when it comes to price action. I think Ethereum, when we're talking about new lows, it's not about going and setting a new low back below 800. It's about setting new lows more recently, and we're actually going to go back down to test around $1,000, maybe go a little bit below that. Let me know what you think in the comments, though. Do you think Ethereum, the bottom is completely in, and at worst, we're going down to 1,000? Do you think we're just straight up from here, and Ethereum's tokenomics are going to take over with the fact that it is trying every single day and moving closer towards being a deflationary coin? Let me know what you guys think. My opinion is I think there's one more good dip in the market. Bitcoin hits new lows. Ethereum does not hit new lows, but potentially retests $1,000. Let's move on and look at Cardano really quickly, because it was another coin that broke out yesterday. You guys can see longer time frame. Let me zoom out for just a second, go out to the daily chart. We were in two different falling wedge patterns. We broke this shorter time frame one, and we've now entered back up into the longer time frame one. So the question is, what is Cardano going to do? There was an interesting prediction made that by the end of January, the Cardano community believes that potentially Cardano could make it all the way up to 49 cents, and it's absolutely possible. Although I do think with the Fed announcement we had yesterday, that does hurt the chances a little more. I'm more realistically looking at around 38 cents based off this breakout pattern of the falling wedge. Currently, though, let's look at this 4-hourly chart. Let's look at some oscillators here as well and see what it is doing. It does not have the bearish RSI divergence as either, although again, we have a little bit of a correction. So similar to Ethereum, when I said watch for when you break through resistance and then you keel over, come back down and touch support, potentially is Cardano going to be doing the exact same thing? The question is, which one? Is Cardano only keeling over and coming back down to this green line, or do we potentially go a little bit lower to this red line and then we start our ascension once again? It's not the worst thing in the world. In fact, a lot of traders end up, when they're looking at breakouts, they actually trade this based off of saying, I'm going to wait for the breakthrough right here, and then I'm going to wait to see it come back and touch former resistance and turn it into support. That's the play. But my question, especially with these two different levels, I think there's an outside chance with Cardano that it doesn't come back down to the red line. What it actually does is end up coming back down to this green line, and then it finds its little rally here again soon. We will have to see about that. Keep that one posted. Again, a level we're looking at if things turn bearish on Cardano is somewhere around 22 to 20 cents. In the falling wedge pattern, I wasn't sure that we were going to break out yesterday or not a couple days ago, so I was looking potentially coming down here. Even though with other levels, we've broken below this green line before, we could do it once again. And again, maybe that's potentially what ends up happening. Is Cardano keels over, retest this red line. What's happening right here? Let me extend this for just a second. Potentially what we end up doing actually is just that, where we do treat this red line as a level of support, but we come down to that 22 cent level, we reject and bounce right here, and then we find our rally back up towards 38 cents, give or take. Let me know what you guys think about Cardano as well. I know that's a very, very, very divisive coin. I believe the majority of our audience and our viewers love Cardano and are big supporters of it. There's a lot of people who absolutely hate it. And that's just part of what we're in right now with the crypto world. People don't like to see things eye to eye. Everyone has to battle with each other. It has to be this coin or that coin, and you can't support both of them. I hope someday that changes, but for right now, that's kind of what we're at. We're going to be doing a video probably this afternoon. You guys are going to see us do one on XRP because there was some interesting information there, but I'm going to give you a little tidbit as to what we're talking about in that video. There is a trading channel going on with XRP right now that we are currently retesting support. We had this nice, interesting scam wick the other day that ended up being just that, a scam wick. But it was interesting. We dropped below that level of support. But right now, I do believe potentially we're going to be regrouping down to level of support, maybe even coming down to the middle here around 32 cents. But I think there's a good chance, especially with some breaking news we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show, that XRP could be seeing a rally come very soon. Let me know what your thoughts are. That's another project that a lot of people love to hate on and others love to love on. Speaking of coins that like to argue with each other, Charles Hoskinson, the creator of Cardano, has been kind of against the XRP community. There's been a little bit of beef between him and the XRP community. These are both projects that I love and I have a plan to invest in long term. So I hate to see the two communities feel like they need to be at odds with each other. At the moment, that's just where we are in the crypto space. Guys, that's all I have for you in technical analysis today. I told you it was going to be a nice short one. Tune back in tomorrow. We will be back. It's the last show of the week on Friday, and we'll be doing some more technical analysis, especially if things start to move in bigger time frames. Not a lot of craziness happened today versus what happened yesterday. So that's why we're going to be ending a little bit early, and we're going to go ahead and jump in, T-Shroom, to some of those news headlines. Go ahead and take it away.
I didn't see any news.
No news?
No.
Oh.
Just kidding, guys. That was one of my funny jokes. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump onto that. And let me actually go ahead and pull me up. It takes a second to get me over there just because there's all the kind of wizardry that has to go on behind the scenes. But Ripple's SEC case is a real reason named for the Fox business. Let me start that again.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to look into the real reason why the Ripple case started. There's been some investigative journalism going on from Charles Gasparino. So let's take a look at that and see exactly what kind of he's finding. So journalist and blogger and panelist of Fox Business, Charles Gasparino, has started the autopsy of the SEC regulator's long-lasting case against blockchain giant Ripple that he is working on at the moment. Gasparino, which is just a fun name to say, Gasparino believes he has found the actual reason why the securities regulator has been so persistent in accusing the crypto behemoth of selling XRP tokens as unregistered securities. So let's find out why. Why the regulatory agency focused on Ripple in the first place. The SEC decided that Ripple was flouting its authority because the crypto company continued to sell XRP tokens despite warnings to stop from the SEC. The way it was being sold seemed to establish XRP's designation as a security, Gasparino explained. He also mentioned the case of Ethereum, which just as Bitcoin was classified as a commodity, stating Ethereum did possibly one sale and then stopped. No case. The journalist assured his followers that he is not taking sides in the Ripple SEC legal battle, but simply reporting why the case began in the first place as he sees it. And then Ripple's Stuart Alderoty responded with, he stated, if the reason named by the journalist is true, the SEC is still acting as if they are have unlimited power to discriminate and punish those who don't blindly obey. He added, we have crossed from regulation by enforcement to hubris most foul. He added, that could have been one of our quotes of the day. Yeah. But yeah, so this is definitely, it's kind of a return to what was really going on at the beginning of this case. As it's gone on, there's been so many commentators and so many movements and developments in the narrative of XRP versus SEC that you kind of forget what it originated with, and it's become kind of this whole other animal. So what are you thinking?
What I thought, and this could be some ignorance on my end. I don't know. Maybe people understand this at a better level. I'm a little confused what they're talking about here. But when I read this article this morning, and I was trying to pick apart what was happening here. Yeah, it sounds like what he's pretty much breaking down in layman's terms is a lot of coins had some problems that maybe the SEC didn't like. They issued a lot of warnings. So, for example, I think one of the ones that brought up was Ethereum. It issued a warning to Ethereum to stop selling its tokens, and Ethereum stopped. Yeah. XRP continued. So I was like, what does it mean? Like, where this is where I'm like, what does it mean that Ethereum they sold their tokens once and then stopped? Because obviously people are going to still buy that. So I'm like, is there a time when Ethereum was like selling its own? I don't know. But it sounds like what they're pretty much saying is XRP heard this, this request by the SEC and just laughed at it and said, no, we're going to continue to do our thing. Yeah. And that's why they were selected by the SEC to go after them. It's not that they are the worst of the worst. It's that they pissed off Gary Gensler and the SEC, and so they were chosen as targets, which would be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, so I think what it's referring to is the initial coin offerings. So when Ethereum did that, that was kind of the end of the supply, so to speak. I mean, there's other stuff that can go on behind the scenes with tokenomics. The
end of the supply. Okay, yeah, keep going.
The end of the supply for Ethereum tokens. It's not that simple, but you can think of it like that. But XRP just kept issuing new waves of coin releases of ICPs, initial coin issuings. So
makes sense.
So what ends up happening is, they kind of kept poking the bear of the SEC, and the SEC was coming out and like, hey, you guys can't do this anymore. Stop. And XRP didn't. Ethereum did, and I guess a lot of other coins did as well. So, you kind of have to. The thing is, though, is what I learned in business school is that if there's not a law on a book, it's not illegal. It's not technically illegal. It's not technically, or in reality, it's not illegal. So the SEC, what they should have done is passed a law saying that cryptocurrencies cannot issue coins, and then they could request, hey, you guys can't do this anymore. But if there's no laws on the books, then it's just like saying, hey, don't be mean to each other, and then arresting somebody because they're mean. It's like, no, you have to pass a law saying you can't be mean, and then you can arrest somebody once they transgress again. You can't arrest somebody retroactively for a law that you passed today.
No,
that's an American precedent and common law precedent. I believe that's what I learned in business school. They could have been lying to me though. So anyway, that's kind of my autopsy of this autopsy.
Do you think this has any effect in the lawsuit whatsoever? It's just an interesting piece that people need to know about why the XRP was selected.
There's so many, it's so complicated. There's so many moving parts, and it's been so
I'm sure it's
politicized.
Been utilized, yeah. I'm sure it's been already utilized in the lawsuit.
But yeah, I would say, it's probably going to have just a political outcome. Yeah. It's precedent setting, and unfortunately, they're going to make this decision under the shadow of this huge FTX collapse, and that's going to be what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we'll see. That's one of our things we predicted earlier in this year, and I think on January 2nd when we had our show, one of our predictions for this year was that XRP lawsuit was going to end. My prediction was it's not going to end as favorably as everyone wants. It's not the death of XRP. It is closure. But I do think potentially either Ripple ends up settling or they end up losing, and then other coins could be in the marks for the SEC to go after.
We've got a good comment here.
We do?
From Jaboy17 said, when you said business school, it reminded me of Nathan Fielder, which is pretty funny. Do you know what he's talking about?
No idea.
The Nathan for You. There's probably not a lot of people who know about this. He was on Comedy Central, so it was mainstream entertainment, but he would make fun of himself. He'd be like, I'm really smart because I went to business school, so I'm going to consult this company and help them become profitable. And it was just like funny. All right, moving on to
one of those jokes you had to be there.
One of those, yeah. That was a T-Shroom Jaboy joke. We're right here. We're on the same wavelength. Maybe a couple of
I'm loving the bromance in you two, though. I mean, you guys keep it up.
Yes.
This channel's all about relationships. So
that's right.
It's T-Shroom and Jaboy17 are forming very special relationship.
That's right. Now. Over Nathan Fielder, which is it's a good thing to bond on. All right, let's get into some more stories here because we got a lot. Celsius earn assets belong to bankrupt crypto lender, judge rules. The move confirms that crypto platform customers do not own their assets if they're using certain services or products. The big takeaway from this one, guys, is going to be go back and read your terms of service for the platform that you're using, the exchange that you're using. So let's take a look here at some of the details. Judge Martin Glenn of the Southern District of New York said that Celsius's terms of service made it clear it took possession of crypto assets deposited into its earn product, dealing a blow to some customers hoping to recoup their funds from the company. Celsius held around $4.2 billion in various cryptocurrencies in its earn product as of July 2022. The court concludes, based on Celsius's unambiguous terms of service and subject to any reserve defenses, that the cryptocurrency assets, including stablecoins discussed in the details below, were deposited in earn accounts. The cryptocurrency assets became Celsius's property, and the cryptocurrency assets remaining in the earn account on the petition date became property of the debtor's bankruptcy estate. So getting a little bit into some legal jargon, but not too much to where we can't understand what's being said there. So essentially, that one is like, I mean, I don't know that it's precedent setting because I think that judges have ruled on exchanges in this way before. But this is definitely going to guide, the outcomes of FTX and other exchanges that have funds locked up and frozen in there. So definitely not the outcome that we want for the people, for the consumers, for customers and users of these platforms. Now, a lot of that 4.2 billion is going to be a lot of big funds. It's a lot of big money held by single institutions, and it's kind of hard to shed a tear for those guys sometimes. But a lot of that money was the you and I, not literally you and I, but the everyday crypto investor who's just trying to get in early on something that's really, really cool. Anything on that? Or are you ready to move on?
No, I mean, so it was good. It's good to refresh and know things. But I think a lot of people, if you had lost money in Celsius, I'm sure you were still monitoring it and holding out some hope potentially that some good news could come your way. But I think a lot of people were under the impression
they weren't getting it back.
It's not going to come back. So this is kind of just getting close to putting the nail in the coffin and saying, if you lost money with Celsius, I'm sorry, but it ain't coming back.
Yeah, well, the good news is that good news for XRP folks is that XRP is listed on a few major exchanges here. Reporting from you today, BitMart, one of the leading digital asset trading platforms, has listed the Ripple affiliated XRP cryptocurrency on its platform. I've never seen that Ripple affiliated. Why does it need to be said like that? But okay, that's good. That's the whole story. So XRP is getting expansion into exchanges it hasn't been on before. So that's not what you would expect because what happened in December is Coinbase took XRP off. Not completely, but
no. So they took it off the wallet. So you had not been able to purchase XRP on Coinbase for a while now. I don't remember how old that one is. They took it off though, being supported in their wallets, and cited lack of use. And it was just funny because again, it was one of those things like, well, you're not allowed to buy it here, so you're literally depending upon people to buy it other places and then want to choose Coinbase wallet to hold it there. And it's like, well, just go ahead and hold it in some other cold wallet. Why would you want to choose Coinbase for that? So kind of a silly little thing. There will be a day Coinbase will pick XRP back up, barring something that like the SEC goes after Coinbase and goes hard on them and tells them not to, because Brian Armstrong definitely has made it sound like he's going to follow his regulation, which he should. He just wants to know what it is. We'll see how that develops. But I'm anticipating that someday Coinbase will adopt it again. But this is big news. This is big news because XRP, that was one of the things that had been so suppressive to the price of XRP, is the fact that not only were there not a lot of large exchanges holding XRP, a lot of large ones had held it and actually delisted it. Yeah. So is this a trend beginning? Are people warming back up to letting XRP come back now? I don't know, but at least we do have a larger exchange starting to say, you know what? Who cares what the SEC thinks? We're going to allow our investors to go ahead and hold it. I think in that article, I don't know if you said it or not, but it's key. I think at this point, the only pairing it has is with Tether. So you can trade XRP and Tether at this point on BitMart.
Absolutely. Well, I'm seeing GS, I'm seeing Justin Eubanks, I'm seeing Crypto Minibike, but I'm also seeing Tom Crown in the chat.
Come on.
Tom Crown in the chat. That's pretty awesome. And we're going to go ahead and get into our next story.
Maybe Tom Crown saw our Litecoin video yesterday.
It's possible.
Because I know Tom is a big Litecoin guy. And we don't talk about Litecoin that often. In fact, in reality, I think it's been months since on a show, back on Coffee and Crypto, that I've done TA on Litecoin and looked at it. But it's Tom, I'm telling you, man, I got to give it to you. You have been faithful to Litecoin even when others have given up on it. So shout out to you. I think Litecoin has a very interesting, bright future.
Yeah, the volume of commentary on that coin has been light, you could say. And so, but what hasn't been light is the amount of spot trading volume on Binance, and that's our next story.
Come on.
Binance controlled 92% of Bitcoin spot trading volume at the end of 2022. Shocking headline there from Arcane Research. And we're going to get into this one briefly, but no matter how you look at it, in terms of trading activity, Binance is the crypto market. This coming from Arcane After lifting trading fees for its BTC spot pairs this summer, Binance completely overtook all market share in the spot market. Well, obviously it's not all market share, but functionally, 92%. You can get a lot done with 92%. That's pretty intense. Now, let me just be clear. That does not mean that they own any of that 92%. Binance does not own that. They're just facilitating the trade. And, we trust them to do that. If they're doing some shenanigans in there, that's really bad. And, that'll eventually come out. So hopefully, Binance, listen to me. Don't be doing any shenanigans. But we'll get into the next story here. And it's a pretty interesting one that concerns everybody. Definitely be paying attention here. Everybody who owns an exchange. Regulators seize millions in Robinhood shares from FTX. So we had pretty much a whole episode on this story, and now it's reaching a strange conclusion. The U.S. Justice Department said in a Delaware bankruptcy court hearing that it had taken custody of $450 million in Robinhood shares from FTX. So if you weren't convinced about getting a Robinhood account now it's backed by, what did it say, the DOJ?
Well, they just confiscated it.
Yeah, but they're invested. The American government is invested in Robinhood.
They confiscated. I think it's going to be. I think there's a good chance. We covered this about 3 weeks ago, that it ends up going back to one of two groups. One, BlockFi, because BlockFi is supposedly has documentation that it was the collateral for a loan given to Alameda, that if something went wrong, they would get the Robinhood shares. So that's going to be interesting. Keep your eyes on that. Yeah. The other one, of course, would be the natural inclination. Why are those shares just sold off and given back to FTX holders who are down billions of dollars? I mean, it would, again, put a scratch in their losses. It wouldn't put a dent. This is where it would not put a dent in the losses, but it would put a scratch in it.
Yeah,
scratches the surface.
Yeah,
got a lot more money though to come back to those investors and the holders of. I'm trying to think of how to put. Not investors. I don't want to talk about I think that the money should go back to people. Customers? That's what I think it should go back to customers before investors. It would be nice to give money back to investors, but they definitely should be waiting at the end of the line, and other people should get their money back first.
Well, speaking of people who should be doing things, definitely go ahead and take a look at this beautiful beard. And what's under that beard is the like button, of which I have not clicked yet.
Wow.
And I'm going to go ahead and dislike. Wait, what? Dislike? Just kidding. I'm going to like the video here, and we're going to keep moving on. We're going to go ahead and get into our market open so that we can get to our cover story in just a second. And market open, you can see Asia up 1 and some change percent. European markets mixed. Overall bullish, as these numbers are less than this number. Over here, 0.3, 0.1 is less than 0.7. And the American markets are into 7 minutes of trading as of the hearing of my voice. And our S&P is down 0.9%. So let's go ahead and check out those markets, and let's do that right now. I got a ton of charts pulled up here because I was doing all kinds of crazy research last night. But so check this out. We'll start with energy. Natural gas taking another giant plunge to the downside after recovering a little bit yesterday. Man, my charts are going to be all kinds of messed up. I forgot to reset them here, but you know what? That's not good. I have no idea where I am. I'm probably in like the 1970s here. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. But yeah, there, as you can see, natural gas having another down day and not wanting to play along here with me.
You had it on auto, yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was. So, but I'm thinking that the bottom for natural gas here is going to be at 1050. And I made a video yesterday about natural gas. Guys, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on ETFs. And natural gas is the main pair that I'm trading right now. So definitely be paying attention to that. But let's get back into the energy at large. Oil coming down a little bit more, but shedding much less than yesterday. Yesterday had quite a takedown. But the index is coming in pretty red. What we expected at the beginning of the year is now what we're getting here, down 1%. Again, this is the early trading minutes of the New York Stock Exchange session here. Who's leading lower is NASDAQ, so you're seeing a rotation out of risk, at least in the first couple minutes here, and the VIX coming up 3%. So we need to talk about the VIX at some point. The cryptocurrencies all coming in red, including Atom. So yeah, we covered that a decent amount in the TA. Metals coming in negative as well, -2 on silver. So let's see how that's correcting. Is this a time to buy the dip potentially? it looks like it might be. Might have to do some TA on silver here in a little bit just to see maybe a good buy spot for that commodity. But we'll keep moving. Big tech down big as well this morning. Microsoft took a huge hit yesterday. Let's take a look at their chart. That's now down almost 2%. Man, look at that. It hadn't corrected, so the market was waiting on Apple and Microsoft. Those were the names that we were waiting on to correct, and now they have. But as you can see, still plenty of room to fall down here as it's not reached the bottom of this range here. A very shoddily drawn line can show that it's got about let's see how much room to the downside. Another 11% that Microsoft could shed there to the downside. Whereas if you take a look at names like Google and Amazon, who have both already kind of reached the bottom potential of those channels, as you can see. Well, Google, maybe you can't say that completely, as it has another 15 downside. Amazon is the one, yeah, that's right. Amazon is the one that's kind of towards the bottom of its channel there. Tesla, whole nother story. I don't know that there's really a channel to be drawn yet, but it's completely disqualified its support completely there, and that's a sad story over at Tesla. A lot of question marks being raised over there, and then Meta, unrecognizable compared to those charts that we just went through. But those are your FANG stocks, guys. That's the end of 2022, early 2023. All kinds of head scratching going on, looking at big tech, something we all trusted in. And now we look over at the bonds, taking rotation of capital into its bosom and being invested in quite aggressively. And I'm going to use that word very liberally this morning.
Yeah. Great combo right there.
You get all kinds of fireworks this morning from T. Shroom.
Aggressively
in your
took
market
it into
open.
their bosom.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree that that's an eloquent way to say that. Look at what is this? The 5-year is popping off 3% this morning. Let's take a look at bond yields. Man, what a boring chart. But yeah, overall, I guess not a boring chart, but a boring asset. But people are saying, I'm hearing more and more commentary saying that that bond yields are maybe something to look at here pretty soon. I'm too short-term of an investor. Honestly, I'm too young to get into bonds, so I've been told. But I might have to start checking that out. The Dixie having a little bit of a creep back here. The Dixie. Something to watch is the strength of the dollar coming back here in the early days of January, early days of Q1. Taking a look at cannabis stocks here, coming down. Not surprised. A rotation out of risk. We learned that from the NASDAQ. Same thing here with the mid-cap stocks, rotation out of risk. Noticing this theme over and over, and you have money returning into the oil producers this morning as they have been a safe haven. That was the big narrative for 2022, and ultimately it's more than likely going to continue to march on. But let's break down some of those names. This is Marathon Gas, and then you've got ExxonMobil, kind of towards the midsection of its channel. I don't have the lines drawn. I apologize. Then you have Schrellenberger, which is actually kind of toward the top. It's in the top half of its trading channel here, but probably not the best one to buy. But Occidental Petroleum is the one that is kind of towards the bottom of its trading channel, something you may want to consider if you're looking for safety in these markets going into what could be a recession. So that's going to be our market open. Let's go ahead and return back to our stories and check those out. So the first one is SEC files limited objection to Binance.US's $1 billion deal for Voyager assets. Now, I will point out that this is completely different. Binance US, totally different company from Binance Global. It actually is, technically. But obviously, it's in the name. They're all kind of CZ's kind of the one pulling the strings. Well, the SEC is stepping in and saying, no, not so fast, Binance. We've got some questions to ask before you go buying one of the largest crypto lenders out there. So let's dive in and find out a little more. Pardon the ads here, guys. I don't know if you're looking for a new milk for your cereal or new super low down payment, but here, I'm sorry. Nothing I can do about those ads. Let's get into the story. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has filed a limited objection to Binance.US's proposed $1.02 billion purchase of the assets of bankrupt crypto lender Voyager. It is in its filing, the SEC questioned the adequacy of the information in Binance.US's disclosure statement, specifically details on the ability of the crypto exchange to consummate a transaction of this magnitude. as well as how Binance.us intends to secure customer assets and details on how Binance.us would rebalance its cryptocurrency portfolio. Voyager plans to seek the approval of the bankruptcy court for the sale of these assets at the hearing on January 5th. Hey, SEC, we're Voyager, and we just want the money. Leave us alone. Let us get bought out. So ultimately, what do you think is going to happen here, Tim? To be honest with you, my early interpretation of that is the SEC is just putting a little speed bump. I think that those questions they're asking is a small speed bump for something like Binance. I think they're going to truck right on through this, and they're going to own Voyager by the end of the year.
Yeah, so I think so too. But this is just ongoing. We know that the SEC is the SEC has reason to not necessarily like Binance, and we have to stop here, pause right there at least, and discuss something that Matt C and I know very well. After we went to Austin last year, when we were at the Consensus. Well, that wasn't Consensus. What was it? Consensus? Matt C, what was it? The one in Austin. Was that Consensus? I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. That took me a while to remember which conference it was. There was a Binance.us booth, and they were very, very adamant that they are not Binance, that they are their own company, that there's a difference between Binance and Binance.us. And for lots of purposes, there's some truth to that, but we know that they're the same company. We know that CZ has heavy pull, and anything he wants to happen at Binance.us is just a click of the button away for him. We also know that there's lots of reasons why Gary Gensler, who up into about a couple months ago was buddy with old SBF and the FTX exchange, and who's enemy number one and who's to blame for that fall, according to the likes of SBF and Kevin O'Leary and other FTX supporters, it's Binance. So do we potentially just see some trying to take any situation he can, old Gary Gensler, to try to stop Binance and Binance affiliated businesses like Binance.us from acquiring any more business? I do think I want to see more evidence come out to make a complete opinion, but as it stands right now, I would venture to say more than likely this is more politically motivated and more agenda motivated than anything serious. This is SEC once again, like we were talking about earlier, overstepping their reach when they went after XRP. I think once again overstepping their reach here, trying to block business. Like you said, Voyager wants this, Binance.us wants this. For the SEC to get involved there with little evidence and reason as to why they should, is a little bit reeks of some personal offenses, not necessarily anything credible.
And let me just make clear, I don't think that the folks who are currently in custody and operating Voyager's assets are going to get much profit from this, if anything. I think more than likely Binance.us is coming in way under valuation and buying those assets. So,
but here's the thing. That should not affect the SEC whatsoever. If
Voyager
wants to sell them, and that's the whole purpose of doing sales.
Right.
I want to offer this much. If you think that much is too low, as the seller, you have the right to say no. If Voyager says we'll take it, why should the SEC get involved and try to block that?
No, you're right. I just didn't want folks to think that, because I reported it in a way that made it seem like they're okay. But the thing is here, I've pulled up for you guys. Binance Global, headquartered Cayman Islands. Okay, probably never heard of it or been there. Why would you have any reason to, other than going on a cruise? Actually, I've been to a cruise at the Cayman Islands. And then Binance.us, headquartered San Fran, California. So just so you know, if you're new to this space or whatever, Binance.us, totally different company. Well, let's get into the Fed minutes here. But before we do, let's get this short. This is a headline. Very important, guys. Alibaba and other China ADRs surge as Ant Group capital plan approval fuels hope for relaxing scrutiny. So Chinese stocks are traded in the U.S., but on exchanges, they have the disclosure that they are ADRs, okay? And so a lot of investment flowed out of those ADRs over the last year when, I don't know if it was the SEC, but some regulators were looking into those because of the auditing concerns, that whether or not these Chinese companies were being audited correctly with American standards. And so according to this headline and according to the commentary I've been hearing about it, it's now kind of green lighting a lot of these Chinese ADRs. And now the American regulators are saying, yeah, kind of all clear. Now, it's not completely all clear, but it's the first wave. It's kind of like a drug going through the FDA. It's passed its first clinical trial here, right? So it's the ADRs are kind of getting the first green light, but it's a soft green light. Important for you to know if you're global, if you're an investor, what's going on, because money theoretically, money's going to theoretically now flow out of America and into China. Not a bunch of money. It's not going to be super significant, but there'll be slightly less liquidity flowing into U.S. securities because now the opportunity in China is pretty big. All right, here's the big one, guys. The FOMC minutes yesterday were dropped, and the Fed officials see higher rates for some time ahead. And this is what they said, sometime. So let's get into the details, because there's a decent amount here we'll have to go over. So participants generally observe that a restrictive policy stance would need to be maintained until the incoming data provided confidence that inflation was on a sustainable downward path to 2%, their target rate, which was likely to take place sometime. I've got a double highlighted here, as you can see. It's a funny little thing. The meeting summary stated, in view of the persistent and unacceptably high level of inflation, several participants commented that historical experience cautioned against prematurely loosening monetary policy. And boy, can I attest to that. I've been studying the 1973 and the 1980s recessions, and man, it got crazy. So it's very interesting in the context of the lessons that we learned then to see what the Fed is doing now. Because in my opinion, they really screwed up, especially in the 80s with their monetary policy. And I'm hoping to see them not make the same mistakes. A number of participants emphasized that it would be important to clearly communicate that a slowing in the pace of rate increases was not an indication of any weakening in the committee's resolve to achieve its high price stability goal, or a judgment that inflation was already on a persistent downward path, the minute said. So good. Keeping a level head, not getting too optimistic. Participants generally indicated that an upside risk to the inflation outlook remained a key factor shaping the outlook for policy, the minute said. And then the balance sheet they just kind of reiterated, highlighted this. The balance sheet contracted by $364 billion to $8.6 million. Yes, sorry. 8.6 trillion. It's a team effort here, guys, at the Investing Bros. And I've pulled up a chart here for you to see. Since 2008, when we had only 800,000 assets under the balance sheet, 900,000 on the balance sheet, we now have 8.6 trillion as of now. And you can see where that curve started to take place, but they never really slowed down. I mean, you could say, make an argument here in 2007, they started to sell off. Yes, that rolled off and maybe down here, but really we're starting to see the most significant roll off of the Fed balance sheet. And that is going to absolutely have ramifications going forward. And then also the Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkarsky said Wednesday in a Kashkari.
There's not Kashkarsky. But you said
yeah, I don't think he's Polish.
Kashkari. Kashkari at that's
Neil Kashkari. I think you could probably make the leap to say that he's probably somewhere from India, Pakistan, somewhere like that. Anyway, he said Wednesday in a post for the director's website that he sees the funds rate rising to 5.4 and possibly higher if inflation doesn't trend down. So we took a look at the indexes this morning as they are. They got the Fed minutes yesterday, but they posted at 2:00.
Yeah.
Right. So there wasn't an ample amount of time for the markets to react. Well, they're reacting now, down 0.1%. And I would make the argument, here is the statement from Kashkari that really is probably sending them lower, and then also the uncertainty around this statement, which is likely to take place sometime. That they're saying that inflation will come back down to toward 2% at some time. So markets hate uncertainty, and that's what they delivered with these minutes.
Didn't their dot plot they released in December kind of insinuate sometime 2027, 2028 is when they're expecting to get back down?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
I think I saved a photo of it somewhere. Let me look at here. Yeah, it looks like okay. Never mind. It does say longer term. Right there. So we'll see here. I can full screen that one. It's going to be interesting to watch what they end up doing. In honesty, I was not surprised when the announcements were made, and I was a little surprised. Okay, here's what I say. I wasn't surprised by Jerome Powell. I was surprised about the people who were surprised by Jerome Powell, because we heard him say last December that what he's looking at is they want to get up to 5.1 by the end of the year. And he didn't just say by the end of the year. He said to get there and stay there for an extended period of time. Going back to my screen here real quickly, T-Shroom, when you're looking at this is the dot plot they kind of gave us. Now, this 4.875 would insinuate that by the end of the year, that some of them expected they'd be able to cut by 25. That maybe is one surprise. He kind of made it sound like in the meeting that they're not expecting to do any cuts whatsoever, which means from where we are currently, we're going to rise about another 75 points, and then we're going to stay there. But this dot plot says that it would end with one cut there. So get up to 5.1, which is 5 to 5.25, and then make one cut. Either way, not a big deal if we stay at 5.1. Now they have a little roadmap. They're saying to end 2024, we're down to 4.125. 2025, 2.875. So that, I guess that would imagine that's when they're really going to start slowing down, maybe 2006. It says longer term right down here, but 2006, maybe 250. We'll see. This is their plan, though, that they want to see. This is the interest rates they want to see happen. I guess, never mind. This plot right here. So this is the interest rate hikes. My bad, guys. This orange line right here, we're talking about core PCE.
That's the PCE. That's the
2025 is what it looks like. They're expecting 2025 for us to have inflation potentially back down towards 2%. So I'm not necessarily that surprised. You can go off my screen now, T-Shirt.
Yep.
I'm not so surprised by his remarks. I'm surprised that people are surprised. And this is exactly what we were expecting. Again, right now, the February is probably just about a lock at this point for 25 basis points. You can go to my screen again. I don't know if you just showed this or not, but this morning, 94% now are saying of this Fed rate investment tool, predicting a 25 basis point hike. Still 6% holding out, saying we're going to go 0. But again, especially after what Jerome Powell says, I think they're going to stick to that concept of getting.
When's the last time you refreshed that?
Did it change?
Because mine says 2%. Yeah, it went down to 2 this morning.
All right, well.
So 2% likelihood of 0. I mean, that makes sense.
25, in all reality, it's about just a lock. Again, it's not 100%, but 25 basis points is happening. I'm curious about March, if March is going to be 50 or another 25. But I think Jerome Powell has been very honest. He wants to get to 5.1 as soon as possible without crippling the economy. So here's the last thing I'll say, and I'll be done with this issue. It will be interesting to watch, because something he mentioned was about the job market. And he's talking about there's still there's high demand for jobs, which it affects a lot of different areas. When I say demand, let's say there's high supply of jobs not being worked.
Right.
And he wants to adjust that. Here's the problem. We are just getting out of the holidays. And we've talked about this on the channel before. This data, how diluted is it by holiday work? Are we about to see the unemployment rate skyrocket as people are let go from these unemployment jobs? We also are pairing that, let go of these holiday jobs. We're also pairing that with the Great Resignation. Their data is not going to take into account people who have gone into business for themselves and are still working some stuff out there and do not want to return to the modern workforce. So this data could stay skewed for a while. At this point, I think what he's looking at, he's going to be watching the economy. He's going to be watching as recession starts to set in. We reported earlier there's that crypto bank. I think, did we report that earlier? The crypto bank that let go of 40% of its staff. We don't have time to go deep into that, but we still are watching in the tech industry. Companies are laying off employees like crazy. So how long before all that catches up and the economy is looking pretty rough, and Jerome Powell then has to potentially change his mind? But as it stands right now, I'm not surprised he was hawkish. I'm not surprised that he went and said we're not expecting to make any cuts. That's kind of what he's been saying, and it sounds like he's sticking to it.
Well, guys, what I want to do also is implore you, please, to go ahead and check out the description. And while I'm working my voodoo here to be able to make that happen for you, to see exactly what, let's go through our description and kind of talk a little bit about where these links might take you. Well, this is Tim's Twitter link. This is my Twitter link. Both of these are going to provide you an exceptional, high quality feed for your Twitter. And then also there's a Robinhood link here if you're looking to get into equities, if you're looking to get into ETFs, which if you're watching this show, I am going to be leading you down a path, hopefully a good one, of learning how to trade ETFs and learning how, to pick stocks and things like that. And then, and so you're going to need Robinhood for that. You cannot do that with a crypto exchange. Now, if you have something like TD Ameritrade or Schwab or some other brokerage that you can buy equities on, you don't need Robinhood. But I would recommend getting Robinhood. They just released a Roth IRA service that actually matches 1% of what you put in. So, that's not nothing. And then Lux Algo, can't ever say enough good things about Lux Algo. Such a good indicator that just plugs right into your trading view. Show you how it works. So you got your chart here, but you don't know really what you're doing. So here's what you do. You just pop Lux Algo on and boom. Now you see Lux Algo, this Occidental Petroleum has been under a sell rating and you were about to buy it. So now you can wait on it, be patient until it flashes that buy rating, and you will reduce your losses almost every single time. And then also you got the Bitcoin 2023 conference. Guys, I'm going to be there. Tim is going to be there also in spirit. And we may even be able to bring him on FaceTime, but he's going to be staying here in Florida. Well, the conference is in Florida, so he's going to be staying here in North Central Florida, Gainesville, while him and his lovely wife will hopefully be having a little baby. But I will be at 2023 conference, Bitcoin 2023 conference, and you can see my my smiling face down there, and we can shake hands, we can meet, and I'll tell you my secrets to trading while I'm there. We'll see.
Also, guys, we're about to wrap out the show. It is 10 o'clock, but I wanted to let you guys know, because I have seen people asking about this. There will be, and it's coming very soon. We are working on a lot of things behind the scenes to get this up and going, but there will be a Discord and a Patreon going live here in the next couple of weeks. So there'll be a paid Discord, several different levels, but you guys will be able to get to see some things behind the scenes. There'll be a lot more interaction over there in that Discord. So make sure when that comes out, keep your eyes out for it. We are super excited about what we're going to be doing. We also have been in talks the last couple of days. We're going to be creating courses, not only just like technical analysis and trading courses, but like T-Shroom just talked about, this is called, the channel's called Investing Bros, not Crypto Bros, not Bitcoin Bros, we want to, as a whole, focus on investing in general. So we want to be able to help educate and teach you guys the whole journey and whole package. And guess what? The stock market, maybe the returns aren't always the same as crypto, but there are so many opportunities in the stock market that people can take advantage of, and they simply don't know how. So look forward to that as we create, not only we continue to grow this community, but create an educational atmosphere that, just like us, as we continue to grow and learn investing for ourselves, if you guys want to do the same, stay tuned to the channel and stay tuned to that Discord and Patreon, because a lot of cool things are coming out. Guys, we wouldn't be here without all of you. We talked about in past videos, the reason we started this channel was a debate. Should we continue in crypto? Should we continue in trading? Should we continue to create some sort of community? Or should we just move on with our lives and find other jobs and pay the bills? And we decided, you know what? I think that people want to see us. I think that a great community is here. We came back and created this channel because of you guys. And it's absolutely blown me away how fast we're growing, guys. We're at over 1,500 subscribers in less than 2 months of actually really producing content. We are so super close. I think we literally need about 1,000 more watch time hours before we'll be monetized on YouTube. And I just want to give a special shout out to all of you guys. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and watching all of our content. Last thing I'll say, make sure, again, comment below. Give us suggestions on what you guys want to see, because I am excited about the future. I know T-Shroom's excited about the future, and I know you guys are excited about the future, and we are just beginning. It's about to get super cool. 2023 is going to be the year that Investing Bros just blows up. And again, maybe we don't become the #1 YouTube channel because there are things that we're just not going to do. We're not going to sacrifice our morality, our ethics. We're not going to sacrifice and just make things up. We're going to be here. We're talking about real things every single day with honest opinions. But we're going to grow and be the greatest uplifting community in the entire space. Make sure you are a part of that every step of the way. Love all of you. We will see you tomorrow for the last show of the week. Look forward, though, this afternoon. Like I said, we have an XRP TA video coming out. Make sure you go ahead and watch that one. With that said, though, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.